Welcome back to another geocaching video with Triple P! How's it going, everybody? So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the history of geocaching, what exactly is geocaching, and how I got involved in geocaching. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So geocaching was not a thing prior to the year 2000. And what happened was the president of the time, Bill Clinton, he had a lock on the availability of satellites up into the atmosphere, and the technology, global positioning system technology, was only being used for the military at the time. What they were doing is they were taking that technology and they were using it to fire guided missiles over long distances that had the accuracy to hit a penny, which is pretty impressive. And then, you know what, May 2000 came around and Bill Clinton decided to disband the selective availability law, which was the law prior to when only the military had access to that technology. He did away with it, and he made the satellites open to everybody, which was great because that allowed us geocachers out there to get a go and kind of picked up from there. So the first geocache was placed by Dave Ulmer in Beaver Creek, Oregon. Beaver Creek, Oregon? Where's that at? So Dave Ulmer put out a 5-gallon bucket to test the accuracy of the GPS signal and see how good it was. And he put the coordinates on his website at the time, and people that were able to access his website went out and tried to find the cache that he hid. And they were enthralled with it, and so from there, it kind of just took off. And geocaching has really, grown in a lot of different ways since it first started in the year 2000. The 2000 caches that are still active today are pretty awesome. And if you ever get a chance to try and find, one of them, give it a go. I know several of them are in Oregon, where the original stash cache is at. Okay, so the original container that Dave Ulmer put out, the 5-gallon bucket, it's no longer there, but what ended up happening was some Oregon cachers in 2003 placed a plaque in his honor, and you can go and find that plaque, and right nearby the plaque is a 5-gallon bucket dedicated to Dave Ulmer and his original cache that he put out on his website all those years ago. Also floating around out there is a OCB travel bug. So that's the original can of beans travel bug. And if you get your hands on that, be sure to discover it. Be sure to log it. If you can take it with you, take it with you. And that's a really cool travel bug to have because most of them don't go that far back. So if you get a travel bug from 2000, that's pretty epic, and that's a memory, worth keeping. Let's talk about what exactly is it. So it is a treasure hunt. You are using, as I was saying earlier, you can either use your smartphone, a handheld GPS. Now using satellites, and what you do is you find some sort of transportation. You can walk, you can drive. Those are typically the two best and two most commonly used. And then you get to that location and you try and find what is hidden there. And what is hidden is typically probably a micro size container, and I'll have another video about container sizes in the future. But for right now, think about like a pill bottle. Pill bottles are like this big typically, and it could be hidden anywhere. And so once you find it, you sign the log inside of it, which is the piece of paper. You put your geocaching handle on it, you close the lid, you put it back, and then you're done. You move on to your next hide. And so it's really exciting to try and find geocaches that are hidden, and that's the thrill of it. And it's actually a lot of fun for kids So if you're like a family, a group, and you are a family, you have a family caching account and you want your kids to go, just, be safe about which ones that your kids go after. And just make sure they're having a really good time and a really good experience. So how did I get into geocaching? I started geocaching in the year 2012. A buddy of mine worked at the camp that I was working at the time, and he comes up to me and he goes, "Hey, why don't we go on a geocaching adventure tomorrow?" And I was like, "What? Like, what is that?" And he goes, "Well, you're going to be hiking in the woods, and at the end of the hike, there's going to be something that we're going to try and find." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds awesome! Like, I love to be outdoors. I love to hike. Seems like perfect for me." So we went on this really great, like, mile and a half hike out one way and then a mile and a half back, and it was an awesome experience. And I actually didn't find the cache on that actual trip because he got like poison ivy on his foot or something, and so he had to turn back. So I went back another day. But what I'll do is I'll leave the GC code of my very first find in the description. And you guys, if you want, you can check it out. You can read my log if you want to see what I wrote. But it was an awesome experience, and to this day, I'm still caching and I'm going strong. And I hope to encourage others that are out there, trying to get into the sport of geocaching to, look into it to see if it is something that you could make a hobby of yours and really get into. Now, the nice thing about geocaching is there's caches on all 7 continents, including Antarctica, and I believe the fastest growing country is Germany, and they have a lot of caches in Germany, no matter where you're going. Well, there's typically a geocache somewhere within 5 to 10 miles of where you're staying. So that is a big perk for me because I like to travel. I like to go places, and you'll see all my different adventures once I start filming them and putting them on YouTube. You guys will see all the places that I go, and that's a lot because I try to go to a different location every single weekend, and I'm going to try and film those, and I'll put them on YouTube for you. So if you guys have a comment or tell me your story about how you got into geocaching, if you're already a geocacher, leave that in the comment section below. That'd be fantastic. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys out on the trail.